You've started that reading guide. Let's pause that a second and talk about these graphs on this sheet you just got. We're going to graph each of these starting with number 1. Okay. And number 1, the equation, or the inequality, sorry, not equation, says y is greater than or equal to negative 3x plus 4. So we have to graph this inequality. This is number 1 on your sheet. Okay. So meaning, first we need a boundary line that was on your reading guide, a boundary line. And that line is the line you graph as if this was an equal sign. You graph it just like if this was an equal sign here, if it was an equation. So what would I do to start graphing the boundary line here? Go up to positive 4 on the y-axis and put a point, because that's my y-intercept. And my slope is negative 3, so I would go down 3 and to the right 1. Down 3 to the right 1. Okay. And I would put this line. Now, though, since it's an inequality, sometimes we have dashed lines and sometimes we have solid lines. Which one is this? This is a solid line because it's greater than or equal to. If it was just greater than, it would have been dashed. So I want you to put a solid boundary line through those points. Make sure you put arrows on the end because it goes on forever. Okay. Oh, you can kind of go with that right now. It doesn't have to be exact. Yeah, just get it close. Okay. So that's a boundary line. Now this is like we were going to graph the equation y is greater than or equal to negative 3x plus 4. Sorry, this y equals to negative 3x plus 4. If it was equals, we would be done. But now we've got this inequality symbol. It means we need to shade all the possible answers that make this true. We need to shade all the possible answers that make this true. Like, for example, if I said, give me the coordinates of this point. What's that red point there?
2, 1.
It's 2, 1, right? That's x is 2, y is 1. Everybody agree with that? I just randomly picked this point as x is 2, y is 1. If I plug this point into this inequality, I want to see if it's true. So if I plug in 1 for y and 2 for x, is this going to be true? I have to do the multiplication first. 1 greater than or equal to negative 6 plus 4. 1 greater than or equal to negative 2.
Yes, it is true.
This is true, right? For example, this would be a possible answer to this inequality because it's true. If I plug those things in, 1 is greater than or equal to negative 2. Right? Remember, we said we have an infinite amount of answers. This is just one of the answers that could work for this. X is 2, y is 1. There's a bunch of other answers, and all of those answers lie on this side of that equation, or of that line. Question, why I picked 2, 1. Right now I just randomly picked it. I just randomly picked 2, 1. Now I'm going to show you a way to pick something a little different here in just a second, or something easier. Yes.
So you randomly picked the right side.
I randomly picked the right side of the line, right.
And like if that doesn't work,
very good.
Try it on the left.
Very good question. So let's try that. Let's say, so the reason I shaded the right side of the line is because the right side of the line worked. It made it true. Let's say we let's say we randomly picked a point on the left side of the line. For example, let's pick this point because it's really easy, because what point is that? What's the coordinates of that point? 0, 0. Let's plug in x is 0 and y is 0 into this inequality and see if it's true. So I'd get 0 greater than or equal to negative 3 times 0 plus 4. Simplify that, I get 0 greater than or equal to 0 plus 4, 0 greater than or equal to 4. That's false. That is not true. 0 is not greater than or equal to 4. So that means all of the points on this side, on the left side of the line, are not true. All of the points on the right side of the line make this true. For example, let's say I picked another point over here. Let's say I picked 4, 0. That's this point right here. Right? Everybody agree that's the point 4, 0?
Yeah.
I have it shaded, and again, my shading is just kind of squigglies right now. You should kind of just lightly shade the whole side of that line. Let's plug in 4, 0. If I plug in 4, 0, should it be true or false? Or was that one 5? One too many? Yeah, that one's 5. So thank you. If I plug in 5, 0, should it be true or false?
True.
It should be true because it's on the shaded side, right? The shaded side has all the true ones. So let's try it. Again, this is x, this is y. So I'm going to have 0 less than or equal to negative 3 times 5 plus 4. Negative 3 times 5 is negative 15. Negative 15 plus 4 is negative 11. Is 0 greater than or equal to negative 11? True. And it happens that any point in the shaded area makes it true. Any point in the non-shaded area makes it false. Okay. So you shade the side that makes it true. You leave the side not shaded that makes it false. Okay. We're going to do a bunch of these. Any questions immediately with this one? All right. Let's try the next one. First, we need to graph this if this just like if it was an equal sign here. So where am I going to go to on the y-axis first? Negative 5. So everybody do that on number 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to go to negative 5. And we're going to go then look at our slope that's positive over positive. So it means we're going to go up 3 to the right 5. Right? Rise over run. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So your line should look something like this. Now, why did I make it solid and not dashed?
Because it's greater than or equal to.
Because it's greater than or less than or equal to. Now, I'm going to show you the difference between a dashed and a solid in just a second. We're going to test out a point that's on the line. So now we need to figure out which side of this line has all the answers to this inequality. Is it this side or is it this side? It's only one or the other. These are our two half planes. There's a half plane down here and a half plane down here. Because it goes on forever. Okay? But it's either going to be everything up here makes it true or everything down here makes it true. So all we do is we just pick any point we want and test it out. Now there's one point that's usually there's one point that's quite a bit easier usually than the others. What do we think that point probably is? Yeah, probably 0, 0, right? If I test this point, that's x is 0, y is 0. It's always easy to work with 0, right? So let's plug x is 0, y is 0, because I don't care. Then I don't have to multiply by a fraction, because I know anything times 0 is 0. If I would have plugged in 1 right, or let's say if I would have plugged in 4 right here, I would have had to take 3/5 times 4, and then I get all these fractions. I don't want to deal with it. Let's test out this point. So I'm going to plug in 0 for y. I'm going to plug in 0 for x. I'm going to solve this. I have to do multiplication first. Then I take 0 minus 5. It's negative 5. So I look, is this statement true or false? Is 0 less than or equal to negative 5? False. So does that mean I want to shade 0 or not shade 0?
Not shade.
Not shade. So I would then shade this side of the line. And it should be, if I were to pick any point in the shaded area and plug it in, it would be true. Any point in the non-shaded area would be false. Let's say I picked this point here, the point right on the line. That's the point 0, negative 5, right? That's x is 0, y is negative 5. What do you think is going to happen when I plug in this point here? Is it going to be true or false? Because I picked a point that's right on the line.
I'm going with true.
Do we think it's going to be true or false since I picked a point right on the line?
It's gonna be true. It's gonna be both.
I hope it's true. Let's see.
It shouldn't be equal.
Very good. Let's see. So if I plug this in,
Whoa.
3/5 times 0 is 0, and 0 minus 5 is negative 5. This is true. So this point works. That's the difference between a shaded line and a dotted line and a solid line. A solid line, any point on the solid line is true. Just like when you have the closed circle, that means it's true. If it was a dotted line, any point on that line would be false. Okay. And the way you know the difference is a dotted line is greater than or less than. A shaded line has greater than or equal to or less than or equal to, like this one. So your graph for this one should look like this. Okay. All right. Try number 3. All right, so it looks like a bunch of us are on the right track. We first graph our boundary line. We graph the boundary line just like if it was an equal there. So we should go to -5 on the y-axis. And then we look at the sign in front of the number in front of the variable is our slope. That's -1, so I would go down 1 to the right one. Or that's the same thing as going up 1 and to the left one. But the difference, since it's not an equation, it's an inequality, you have to look if you put a solid line or a dotted line. And you put a dotted line in this case because it's just greater than. That means any point that's on this line does not make this true. Any point that's on this line does not make this true. So then we have to figure out, okay, which side of this line are all the answers to this inequality? And for right now, if I were you, I would just keep picking 0, 0 to test out, because that's a really easy point to test out. So that means we're going to plug in x is 0 and y is 0. And I didn't write -0 because 0 is neither positive or negative. So I get that. 0 greater than -5. True or false?
True.
True. Does that mean 0, 0 needs to be in the shaded area or not in the shaded area? In the shaded area. So I'm going to shade this side of my line. Okay. All right, the next one. So, first, is this going to be a dotted line or a solid line? It's going to be dotted because it's just greater than, but there's no slope here, right? The slope is 0. It's like 0x. They just didn't write the x. So when the slope is 0, what type of line is that? Horizontal, straight across, right? So that means it's going to be a straight across line through, remember you treat it as if it was an equal sign. Y equals -4. So it's going to be a dotted line through y at -4, and it's horizontal because it has a 0 slope. Right. This is number 4. Because remember, to graph that boundary line, we just treat that as an equal sign. So now I need to figure out, do I want to shade the top part of this line? Is that where all the answers are? Or the bottom part of this line? Is that where all the answers are? So I could just pick a point and test it out. And again, I'm going to just keep picking 0, 0. That's x is 0, y is 0. There's no x even in this problem. So all I have to do is plug in y. Is 0 greater than -4? True. So that means all the answers, that means that part needs to be shaded, so all the answers are above, which makes sense, right? Because like y is 100 is way up here. That would be true, because 100 is greater than -4. Okay. The reason it's dotted again, because this point where it's dotted through is not included. This point doesn't work. If you plug in y is -4, that's not true. That's why it's a dotted point. But everything above that will be. Okay. Come around and check while you're doing those, and those will be the last ones we do for today. I want you to try 5 and 6. And those will be the last ones we do for today. I want to check them as you're doing.